fussy face here. Hi there, my name is Jessica. This is my daughter Tennyson. I'm the mental health mom. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for joining us again. Today we are doing our 4-month update, and it's actually the 3 and 4 month update. We didn't get around to doing the 3 month. It was just a crazy month. And I'm actually glad that we waited until the 4 month because a lot has happened, but I feel like at 3 months, like things were moving a little more slowly, and then once she hit 4 months, it's like she started doing lots of things at once. So we're just gonna dive right into what I'm talking about. So right after we completed her 2-month update, Tennyson went in for her shots. For her vaccinations, and it sucks just as much as everyone says it does. She was sitting in my lap, perfectly calm and content, happy, and then they stuck the needle in and she gave me this shocked look like, wait, what was that? And then I guess it burned. So then she started screaming, and she was pretty inconsolable that whole day. She wouldn't let her dad, or we had a visiting friend over, she wouldn't let either one of them hold her. She only wanted me, and she basically just wanted to nurse the whole day. She was definitely comfort nursing. I looked at all of the shots. Our practice does not go crazy with the shots. I looked at all of the shots to see whether or not they were necessary, whether or not I was comfortable with all of them beforehand, and I was perfectly comfortable with all of the vaccinations that she received. She received a total of 4 vaccinations that day, 3 in the form of a shot, and 1 was an oral vaccination. And I'm going to break that up this next time. She is due for her shots, her 4-month shots, in just a few days, and I've already discussed with her practice that I want to break those up into 2 different sessions, just because last time she never got a fever, anything like that, but she was, just because she was pretty inconsolable for the rest of the day, I got the idea that maybe that was a bit too much for her. So I'm still doing my research on all of her 4-month vaccinations to make sure that I'm completely comfortable with all of them. But I have already told the doctor that definitely she's due for 4 again, and we're going to break those up into 2 different segments. We're going to come in and do 2 one day and then 2 the next day. And our practice was completely fine with that, and I encourage a lot of you watching this to do the same. And if your practice is not okay with that, that's not their business. I encourage you to fully advocate for your child. Or maybe your child tolerates their vaccinations really well, and if they do and you want to do them all at one time, then that's fine. But you know, you as a mother or father or guardian of your child, you get that sense when you're around them all the time of what they tolerate well and what they don't. And I just know that she did not tolerate having that many foreign bodies introduced to her at once. And even though she did not get sick, she did not run a fever, I just know that it was too much for her. So if your doctor has a problem with it, yet you feel that this is really the right thing to do for your child, then either find a different doctor or discuss that, you know, you have the right as a parent to dictate your child's care, because you definitely do. And it's so very necessary for your doctor to respect your wishes as a parent. So, moving on. This little monkey is rolling over now. See, I'm a little roly-poly. Yes, she started rolling over at about 2.5 months actually, but she would have a lot of trouble getting one of her arms back out. So she's rolling over from her back to her stomach. I know a lot of babies start from their stomach to their back. Not this one. She goes straight from her back to her stomach, and then once she's on her stomach, she's really upset that she's there. She's still not a fan of tummy time. But watching her roll is so cute. Like first she really had to struggle, and now she doesn't struggle at all. You put her on the ground, on her back, and she just whoop, rolls right over. So of course putting her on the bed and things like that, because she typically does sleep with us in the bed in the late mornings, or I'm sorry, early mornings after her early morning feeding. We have to make sure that we have lots of pillows around protecting her to ensure that she does not roll away. But she's our resident roly-poly. She laughs and smiles at everything that we do. Her emotions are much more obvious now. She's much more expressive with her emotions now. She also, you know, and that goes for both ends of the spectrum. When she gets angry, she is really pissed.
What's that?
She's just really expressive, and it's a lot of fun to interact with her. She'll carry on little conversations with you. She's very verbal. A lot of times she'll mimic things that I'm doing with my voice. She also sings a lot. So she sings with the TV. Her favorite movie is Moana. Her stork bite is still visible. Her stork bites. So actually the ones above her eyes have gone away, but she still has two on the back of her head. I haven't really noticed them getting any lighter at all. So I'm not sure when those are going to disappear. I haven't read about that yet in my book that I have on her. I probably should have included that information, but I'm too busy at the moment. And anyway, I know it's not a cause for concern at all. So we have been battling an insane diaper rash. So it wasn't large as far as surface area, but it was just very like bubbly. It had little pustules to come up on it, and it was stubborn. It took probably a week and a half to get rid of it. You know, all the things that I had tried that would normally work to get rid of her diaper rash, none of it was working. Like typically I just leave her diaper off for a little while, and if that usually gets rid of most of it, and if it doesn't get rid of it completely, then just keeping some coconut oil on the affected area every time I change her diaper totally gets rid of everything. None of that was working. And so, yeah, 3 days in, I smelled the diapers and realized while they were still drying outside that I had washed her diapers in our laundry detergent. And so at that point, I knew that, you know, since the rash was from synthetic stuff, I would more than likely have to use something like prescription or something synthetic to get rid of it. So I don't like doing that. You know, I really like using only organic substances on her, but just in order to get rid of that, we did have to use some nystatin cream that the doctor had prescribed. It did work very well to get rid of it. It took about 4 days of using it consistently, and now it's almost completely gone. She has grown out of almost all of her 3-month clothes. They are still like, you know, she hasn't grown out of them as far as being stocky. She's too tall for most of them. This is 3 months, and you can see it is coming down here in the front a little bit. It's a little tighter than I would wish on her shoulders at the moment. We have to go shopping again because she doesn't have many 3 to 6 month outfits. So definitely all of her sleepers, she's totally out of all of her 0 to 3 month, and she's wearing 6 month sleepers just because of how tall she is. She's in the 75th percentile, and she is 22.5 inches long. So that's 2 inches taller than she was when she was born. Also, she weighs 14 pounds. So she's 7 pounds, 8 ounces heavier than when she was born and 2 inches longer. She is getting heavy. Her favorite things are being outside and reading books. She also does like TV. I'm not super strict on screen time. I just put educational videos on for her. But honestly, we're so busy that she might watch an hour and a half a day with me, and that's just me watching it for most of it. She probably gets in an hour at the most every day. In addition to being outside, she loves swimming. We have a pool. So what we'll do most times is between her second and third nap, we'll take her swimming, get her good and worn out in the pool. She just kicks and splashes. She loves it. And then after that, we put her in the tub, and I go ahead and put her sleeper on at that time, because then she'll take her nap, and then we just go ahead and get her geared for bed typically, even though it'll be, probably 4 or 5 more hours until she actually does go to bed. We just go ahead and do that, and she's been sleeping very well with that sort of routine. But she loves being in the pool. She loves being in the bath. She loves the water. She makes this ma sound whenever she gets really, really upset. Sometimes she'll do it when once, ma, 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 and sometimes she'll just go ma. And I like to think that my little genius prefers her mother. She's drooling all over me. Oh, do sweet kisses. That's a good segue into, yes, she is teething. In case you can't tell, she has her hand all up in her mouth. If you put anything on her mouth, she will bite at it. She is drooling like crazy, and those are all, symptoms of teething. She doesn't really care a lot about several teething toys that we got for her. She still prefers her Wubbanub over anything else. She'll wake up at night and just putting her little hand in her mouth because her teeth hurt or her gums hurt. It's definitely worse at night. The doctor said that that's pretty common for this age, but she more than likely won't have any teeth breaking the surface for 2 to 3 more months. So ever since Tenny was born, every time I pick her up, I always go, do you want me to get you? And within the past few days, she's about to be 4 months, like I said. Within the past few days, she has started actually like grabbing onto my hands for me to pick her up. It's so cute, so cute. Speaking of, my next point was actually how much she's talking. She carries on little conversations. Yeah. She loves all books, but she especially loves her black and white books. She can see more than black and white now. I know she can see black, white, and red, and I think a couple of other colors as well. I can't remember. But she still prefers the black and white books. I think that high contrast is just very interesting to her. I have some great books that I would recommend, and I'm going to leave those in the description. She likes to sit up. Yesterday we got a Bumbo in the mail, and she loves sitting in it. She feels like such a big girl, and it actually helps me to get a lot of things done as well, because she's gotten to where she is unhappy to be left on the floor while I do things. She's kind of over that, and although she does like her infant rocker, she doesn't really like to be reclined back anymore. She is at the stage where she likes to be sitting up. So the Bumbo is perfect. She falls asleep mostly either nursing or in her swing. Sometimes, like right now, I can just tell that she really needs her nap. Like she'll just be getting really fussy and really grouchy, and it's not because she's hungry, and so I'll just be like, okay, time to put you down for your nap. And she doesn't do well with just being laid down in the bed. I know that this is controversial, but she does not fall asleep with stillness and quiet. She likes to fall asleep with movement and noise. So I was the same way when I was a baby, and so we just give into it. I don't care how she falls asleep as long as she gets in her nap when she starts getting grouchy. Yeah. Say, oh. She's blowing bubbles. I have drool running down my hand. She takes 3 naps per day, so she'll wake up, and then a few hours after being up, she usually wants to go back down for another nap. And then for her 3rd nap of the day, she is either down for 20 to 30 minutes, which is like her other naps. So in the 2 previous naps, she'll fall asleep for 20 to 30 minutes. And then for the 3rd nap, sometimes she will go to sleep for, a few hours. She's been asleep for as long as 4 hours in that 3rd nap that she takes. And it seems like maybe a couple times a week she'll get a really good 3rd nap in, where it's usually about 3 hours. But that's only a couple times a week. Other than that, she's sleeping like 20 to 30 minutes during those naps. But she is a very good sleeper at night. She'll usually go to sleep around, we're night owls here, so she goes to sleep anywhere from 10 to 12. And then she is usually asleep until about 6 in the morning, and she wakes up to eat, and then she falls asleep eating, and I put her back to sleep because I'm still sleeping. And then she'll sleep until about 10. So she usually gets a good 11 hours in, if not more, every night. Her hair is filling in, so I didn't even realize this until I looked back at her 2-month video to see what I had addressed. But she only had hair like here. It looked like a little yarmulke. And now she has a mohawk. It's so cute, and you can actually see it up close. It's filling in on the rest of her head too. She's been pulling at her ears a lot, and I initially thought, okay, she's probably just doing this because she's teething. I would notice that she would only do it when she was either really upset or when I would notice that she would only really do it when she was already upset about something else, like her teeth, or maybe she was just really irritable, and then she'd start pulling at her ear. It was her left ear that she'd always pull at. And so, here go boo boo. So I'm thinking, that's definitely just something she's doing because of just a habit rather than her experiencing any pain in her ear. And then she started pulling at it more and more, even at times when she wasn't upset about something else. So, and she was waking up screaming. So a few days ago, I called the doctor to see if they could fit her in. She never ran a fever, but she was just way fussier than normal. She wasn't sleeping very well, and she was constantly pulling at her left ear. The doctor checked out her ears and said that she's perfectly healthy. There is no indication of any irritation, definitely not of an infection whatsoever. So he did say that it's very common for them to pull on their ears whenever they're teething, just because it's in the general vicinity of, their jawbone and where they're feeling pain, and it's easier for them to pull their ear than, of course, their jaw. So a baby doesn't really have the capacity to distinguish where the pain is coming from, so they'll usually just pull at their ear. She needs her nap so bad, but she won't fall asleep. Just right here, being still like this. Around 3 months, I'm sorry. I scared her. Around 3 months, she started getting Cradle Cap. I usually put some coconut oil on it, and that helps it a little bit. The doctor recommended putting something on it to get rid of it, but he said, and I asked him if that was completely necessary to put something prescription on it, you know, with synthetic ingredients, and he said that no, it wasn't necessary. She doesn't show any sign that it's itchy for her, and it's really just something that's superficial. So I'm just going to wait for it to subside on its own, unless it just gets really out of control. Oh. But for now, it's not out of control, and it's, again, just superficial. So I'm just gonna keep battling it with the coconut oil, and I'll update you on how that is progressing next time. But Tennyson had her first beach trip. Again, that's when we really found that she loved the water. She loves the waves. She loves being outside. So the combination of being outside and the water, that was just like the perfect day for her. How am I doing postpartum? So 4 months postpartum, I have settled down at 125. I've started working out a little bit here and there, honestly, just whenever I can. I haven't established a consistent workout routine yet. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to have to start waking up a little earlier in order to do that while Tennyson is still sleeping. But I'm really not putting a lot of pressure on myself to do that at this point, because I'm happy with the way that my body is. I would like to get a little more lean and a little more definition, but it really doesn't bother me that much. It doesn't bother my husband. Heck with it. I was really emotional for the first couple months. Like anytime, lots of times when someone would say you're doing such a great job, I would start crying. You know, I would cry a lot at commercials. I didn't cry a lot because I was sad. It was just, you know, I was very emotionally triggered. The waterworks were on full force. That has gone away. I noticed it this last time whenever I took Tennyson to the doctor, because usually when the doctor pays me, or usually when her pediatrician pays me a compliment, I would have to fight off tears. And this time I was just like, oh, thanks. Thanks. I feel like I'm doing a great job too. I'm sorry about my voice. It sounds really hoarse and janky right now. I think between the Florida heat and the allergens being out, as well as sister here just like draining me of my milk supply, I feel like my throat is just always so dry, and so no matter how much water or other fluids I drink, I'm just always parched. And that does come across in my voice. I've noticed in some of my vlogs that, or I've noticed that in a lot of my vlogs I sound hoarse. So I'm trying to, I find it very annoying, so I'm trying to combat that as much as possible. Another thing that I've noticed postpartum is that it's really important for me to break up the day. So it's really important for me to, you know, do different things throughout the day and not just be a stay-at-home mommy, you know, dedicating my whole day to her. It's really important for us to maybe get out of the house, really mix things up, whether it's, you know, I can't just clean and watch her every day, all day. We have to, you know, plan a day to, okay, this is the day that we go uptown and do things, or this is the day of the week that we go have lunch with a friend. This is the day that maybe my mom comes over and watches her for several hours while I go out and do something for myself. Or this is the day that, you know, we don't do anything for the house. We just do fun things all day. And during her nap times, I do things for me. You know, I've found that it is very, very important for me to put myself somewhere in the lineup. You know, I'm trying to be a great mommy to her. I'm trying to be a great wife to my husband. Carving out time for myself is not a luxury. It is not something that is elective. It is 100% absolutely necessary. So I've decided to start incorporating a new element into these updates. I'll be doing a book of the month for parent and child, and also a product of the month for parent and child. Things that I find essential for both parties, or for each party rather, things that we've used a lot over that particular month. So the book of the month for children, because we are in October now, is Room on the Broom. I found it at TJ Maxx, and I didn't know that it was a nationwide bestseller. I can see why it is. This is the absolute cutest book. I'm glad that I'm endorsing it at a time, you know, when it's just so specific to the season. It's very festive right now since we are in October. It talks about this little adventure of a witch, and she has her cat, frog, dog, and bird friend that go on this little adventure with her. They go riding on her broom, and it's just, she loses her little bow, and then her broom breaks in half, and it, I think, teaches children a very healthy mindset when overcoming challenges. And I really like the illustration as well. It has very vivid colors, very distinct black lines on the outside of all of the characters. So I can tell that Tennyson is very mesmerized by all the illustrations. She likes the vivid colors, and she pats at the book while we're reading it. So she really tends to like it also. The next book that I would recommend is, of course, the parent book, and this is No Drama Discipline. It is written by one of my favorite authors, Daniel Siegel. He is a neurologist, and so I have read a couple of his other books that are neuroscience based. This book provides, you know, empirical evidence on ways to overcome challenges as basically a team rather than from an authoritative standpoint. And he talks about scientifically and neurologically why this works so well, and in some cases why this particular strategy does not work so well. It goes through the different stages of development neurologically, so what you can expect from your child at this stage, this stage, this stage, and this stage. I am on page 40, and I have enjoyed it immensely so far. It's by Dan Siegel, MD, and then Tina Payne, who is a psychotherapist and has a PhD. Although they are both brilliant people, they definitely put it in layman's terms. So you don't have to have a PhD in order to read this book, or even any sort of degree. It's definitely something that is relatable, and they break it down for you. It also has illustrations. They're like little comic illustrations. And so Dan Siegel, in his true fashion, understands that not all individuals can read something and really retain it. Some people retain things better through pictures as well. So he's incorporated as many elements into this book as possible to help you retain the information. It is also pretty redundant or repetitive, which is also really good for retaining everything that's in this book. Now, products. For baby, I highly recommend Bumbo. Like I said, we got this in yesterday, and Tenny is at this stage where she really likes to sit up. She wants to be a big girl. The Bumbo has made a big difference for us, even just, you know, not even the 24 hours that we've had it. Before, it was really difficult for me to get dishes done. This is just one example, but it was really difficult for me to complete the dishes because unless she's sleeping, I can't do it at all. The Bumbo you can very safely put up on the counter. Of course, don't walk away from them or go into another room or anything like that while they're on the counter in the Bumbo. But she's in arm's reach, so I can just set her up on the counter on the Bumbo, and basically right beside the sink where I'm doing the dishes, and she just watches me do the dishes there. It's so cute. and it's made a big difference. Those dishes had been sitting in the sink for probably 4 or 5 days, and I had never got an opportunity to do them because she needed me so much. Every time I would go to do them, she would start crying and I would have to attend to her. My mother even came over to help, and she tried to do the dishes, and the same thing happened. So we had the bumbo, I put her in that, and she sat on the counter and watched me do the dishes. It was so nice, so I highly recommend the bumbo. She loves being in it. We got some of the accessory toys to go on it, and I actually can't even take credit for this. It was my husband's idea to order the bumbo and the toys, and he did it all on his own, so props to him. Great job, honey. I'm so proud of you. That was the perfect idea. The next product and last part of the video that I would recommend is bubble bath. This is for the adult, mom, dad, whoever it is, caregiver, whoever it is that is taking care of the baby. Get yourself some bubble bath or something else where you can spoil yourself. Taking a bath has made such a world of difference to me. I try to do this a few times a week now. Actually, no. I'm not being generous enough with that statement. I probably take at least 4 baths a week now. It's my time to zen out, and I normally don't care about anything like bubble bath, but I have noticed that putting the bubble bath in the bath makes a huge difference, because then, you know, I'm a really highly sensitive person, so smells make a big difference for me, and when I put the bubble bath in the tub, I can smell, you know, that nice fragrance emanating from the bathroom, and emanating from the tub, and I think that it puts me in a positive, relaxed headspace before I even get into the tub. I have a total association with this bubble bath now that, you know, when I start to smell it, I automatically start to relax. So maybe baths are not your thing, but I know for me, just the challenges that come with motherhood, it's not only the stress, but also, you know, I'm carrying a baby around a lot, and lugging heavy things like strollers in and out of the car. Moving her swing around the house. I'm having to bend a lot. I'm having to squat a lot to pick her up. My body is sore, so taking a bath really helps to combat that soreness. Epsom salts are also a great thing to get for yourself, but find some way to relax, and don't do it for anyone else. Do it for you. It has made such a difference now that I have adopted this mindset. It has made such a difference for me. Alright, so that's it for our 3 and 4 month update. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. As always, if you have any feedback for me, if you have anything to add to this video, you know, which books do you recommend? Which products do you recommend? How do you spoil yourself? How do you maintain your sanity as a new mom? Leave everything in the comments section. I would love to hear from you, and I would love, you know, to get a healthy dialogue going. I think that we all need to be there for each other, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. This little angel's sleeping. Oh my gosh. That little body. She's so perfect. Something definitely went down the wrong pipe just then.